A season that started in Miami, Florida, now comes to an end here in San Diego. The main championship may have been decided, but there are all-star races and SNHL Division I spots still to be locked in here in San Diego as we get ready for the Bill Muncy Cup, the final round of Season 7 of the SNHL Division I Championship. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., the voice of the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Welcome to San Diego, and I am joined tonight in the booth by one of our D2 racers who will be helping me on the coverage tonight. It's Nicholas Allard, one of our great friends from Canada. Nicholas, hello, and good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Very exciting to join you, Daryl, for the last race of the season on D1.
Yes, this is the last season of D1. D2 wrapped up last week. Nicholas, your guys' season wrapped up. You were on this track last week. Take us through your thoughts of competing here in San Diego.
It was pretty fast last week. Luke Nelson has dominated every heat, like all the season. It's a very long track with a lot of speed. Where I think they're gonna do 199 miles per hour at the end of the straight, so it will be pretty fast.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to watch. You usually get up to 200 miles here at San Diego. This has some of our widest corners of the year, so we shouldn't see a lot of the issues when it comes to boats getting close to each other. However, going down that backstretch with the headwind, it is going to be a challenge, and we may see a few boats up on their lid before the night is over. So this will be a quicker night than what we're used to in the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Knock on every wood surface that is in your house, because we've got 12 boats that have signed into the pit lanes today. That means we'll be going A and B heats. 2 sets of 6 to decide it. And Nicholas, I'm looking at the wind for heat for the first flight of heats. They should get started momentarily. Only 5 miles an hour. Should be smooth sailing for Division 1, but if you've ever been around Division 1, smooth sailing in heats sometimes doesn't compute.
No, it's pretty easier for all the drivers. I think last week we were at. Just give me a second. I'm gonna check. Last week we were at. We were at 7 miles per hour for the first flight of the qualification. So they are 2 miles per hour under that we were last week for the 1A, 1B, 1C. So we're gonna see a lot of speed in the straight with only 5 miles per hour.
Gonna be a lot of speed, a lot of opportunities to use that left foot to get that canard pedal going, but that doesn't make it easy, because you can very easily flip this boat over, particularly on the backstretch where you can get extremely light. You're going into the wind that way, and if you catch it the wrong way, you're going upside down. And we've got a couple of folks in the chat. I'm going to shout out Echo, who says, let's go. Thank you for joining us. There's a big announcement with that individual that I'm going to let them make later about some commentary that I'm going to get to do, and I'm very excited to do a very exciting project that's going to be coming up later this year. I'll let them announce it first, but you want to definitely connect, especially if you're a fan of spaceships that like to go fast. So that's a little bit of a hint. So the water has gone quiet. That means it's time to go racing. Heat 1A is going to start momentarily. These are your 6 drivers. They're going to take to the San Diego race course for the first time tonight. DC presents Deft with DJ Miller, qualified in the 7th spot at a 164.957 miles per hour. He'll be joined by our championship runner-up, Mickey Washburn, in the Miss Coca-Cola. The U9 qualified with a speed of 166.274 miles per hour. J&D, well, actually, sorry, this has not been updated, but the House of Color, Jay Sadrowski, will be running in the U19. He qualified 9th at a 164.213 miles per hour. Callum Washburn, the Washburn 3D Race Boats, 163.468 miles per hour, qualified in the 11th spot tonight. Tim Johnson, Miss Tri-City, is one of our faster qualifiers in the top 5 at a speed just south of 166 miles per hour. And rounding out our qualification field is Nick Kish at a speed just shy of 162 miles per hour to get the 12th and final qualifying spot. And that speed for Nick Kish is going to be important for a number of factors, which I will go over now. Nick Kish is trying to stay in Division 1, currently 83 points below the cut line. The best news Nick Kish received when getting to the facility this evening was that Connor Harnack, who has not had the season to his liking, has given up the ghost on Season 7. He has not brought his boat to San Diego. It is only an 83-point swing between those two boats. If Nick Kish can bring that boat home tonight in this first heat, he will be in Division 1, and Connor Harnack will be going down to Division 2, joining Levi Colley, Eddie Canfouche, Bo Rarick, and Quentin Miller, whose points were not enough to keep them in Division 1. So that is the setup for tonight. Nick, it's going to be a great race. We are just getting ready to get Heat 1A on the water. So grab some snacks, grab a drink, and come right back, because when we are back live, we have Heat 1A ready to go. So we're starting with racing, where we're going to do something a little different this weekend in the spirit of the final race of the season. We're going to have a little dash for cash, as it were, with some of our competitors, and we'll get those drivers that are coming out onto the course now. Well, it looks like we're going to have 5 out here for this race. These are your starters. We have DJ Miller and DC Presents Deft. See him there in that red with the white trim at the bottom of your picture. Going into the corner, Mikey Calloway with the Belltown Hydro, who really cut it close to the island there in the middle of the course as he cuts from the front of the course to the back. He'll be in the U64. Callan Washburn in the Washburn 3D Race Boats in the U44. And now, actually, we're going to have Jay Strowski actually joining us out here on the water. We have Nick Kish here in the Easton Eagle. And Jay Strowski in the U19 House of Color. So these boats will be in assigned lanes. We'll get those lanes for you in a moment. But Nicholas, this is a golden opportunity for some of our racers who need an extra couple of laps to get ready for heat racing this evening.
Yeah.
So you have Jay Strowski making his way across the start-finish line. He's going to cut from back to front. Mikey Calloway is already settling into his lane. They're on the back straightaway, so only a 2-minute mill for this one. And going to his inside, what looks like that's going to be Jay Sadrowski that will go to his inside. Meanwhile, there's Nick Kish going down the front straightaway. He's going to be on the outside. Going to have to make this one work. He's going to have to get a good lap if he wants the first bragging rights of the evening. They're all going to make their way to turn 2. If you've never seen boat racing before, for this we do run on a clock start. In this shortened version of the mill, they're going to get together on the back straightaway, as you see them now, and they're going to go around turn 2, and they want to be at the start-finish line at 0. Before 0, and they cross the start-finish line, they will be assessed a penalty for jumping the start. If you're late, well, you're not going to get a penalty, but it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get anything done in this heat as they come around turn number 2. Get ready to start. It's Miller in 1, Brzbilski in 2, Sadrowski in 3, Callaway in 4, Washburn 5, Nick Kish in 6. It's 3 seconds to the go, and we are underway in the Dash for Cash. It's a great start for DJ Miller, or actually for Jay Sadrowski. Scott Brzbilski also got a great start in lane number 2, Nick.
Yeah, Jason Roski take a good start, but he has to see DJ Miller on the inside. At the end of the first turn, we are side by side between Jason Sadrowski, DJ Miller, and Scott Brzbilski. They are 3 wide. What a battle between Sadrowski, Miller, and Brzbilski, Daryl.
Yep. Sadrowski in lane number 3 has got the lead. That boat got light, and he manages to keep it down on the water. Now it's a 3x3 race between Sadrowski, Brzbilski, and Miller. They're in lane number 1. They'll condense into one. There's contact between Miller and Brzbilski. Both of them are gone, and Jay Sadrowski has the lead. So Sadrowski leads off turn number 1. We go 3 times around, but it's going to be Sadrowski now, the commanding lead as we start lap number 2. But on the inside is the Belltown Hydro, the U64 and Mikey Callaway as they head towards turn 1, Nick.
Yeah, Callaway's second, and Callan Washburn is third, and Nick Kish is fourth. So Sadrowski's still in the lead. It was on lane number 3, and he's still in the lane number 3, but now it's going inside because Miller and Brzbilski lost it in the second turn.
And man, what a race we had building. Jay Sadrowski, Scott Brzbilski, DJ Miller, all side by side, heading into turn 2, but 3 boats tried to go into one spot. That did not work out. Jay Sadrowski was the beneficiary. DJ Miller and Scott Brzbilski will have to try again during the actual heats, but as the white flag goes into the air, it's going to be one more time around for Jay Sadrowski to pick up the first unofficial win of the night. He crosses the start-finish line, heads towards turn 1, Nicholas, with no one around him.
No, he's alone in front. I think there's a 2 or 3 Rooster Tail in front of Mikey Callaway in the Belltown Hydro. Third, we still have Kellen Washburn in the U44, and Nick Kish is fourth with the U90 Eastern Eagles. So, like you said, Jay Sadrowski is going for the first unofficial win of the night.
Jay Sadrowski down the back straightaway. That boat gets light a second time. He manages to keep it on the water again. He'll head into turn number 2 with no one around him. Usually I'd say 400 points in front of him, but there's no points on here. Just some cold, hard cash. As Jay Sadrowski hits the turn 2 exit buoy, comes to the start-finish line, and he's going to take the win in the preliminary Dash for Cash here in San Diego. Mikey Callaway comes across for second in the Belltown Hydro. Third is going to be Kellen Washburn in the Washburn 3D Race Boats. And fourth is going to be Nick Kish. And apologies there. Mikey Callaway decided to do his best Tony Hawk's Pro Skater impression there off the island. Just kind of caught me off guard. But that is it for the first unofficial race of the evening. And as we said earlier, Nick, the Division 1, no matter if it's unofficial or official, they're going to go at it 10 tenths, and we saw it there on that first lap.
Yeah, it was pretty tight between Miller, Brzbilski, and Sadrowski. I think there was no room between Miller and Brzbilski, but if there's no penalties, it's okay because there's no points on this race. So, like we said, it's only Dash for Cash, but maybe it's not gonna be the same thing in a couple of minutes.
Well, the first bragging rights of the night have been handled have been handed out, but next time we're going to do it for real. Heat 1A coming up next, so sit tight. We'll be right back after this. And just as we said, Heat 1A coming out onto the water, 6 unlimited hydroplanes. With only being 12 boats on the water this evening, the mills have been shortened to 3 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of get up and go tonight. There will not be a lot of time to sit around here as we get ready to go for the last race of the evening. Last race of the season. Here is your starting lineup again for Heat 1A. Tim Johnson's currently on your screen in the orange and gray Miss Tri-Cities. This U50 qualified in the 5th spot at 165.743 miles per hour. Good enough for 5th and 120 bonus points. Also out on the water is Scott Witherall in the U77 Miss Castrol GTX. Witherall qualified in the 3rd spot at 165.835 miles per hour to give him 160 points on the evening. Cy Bowen in the U17 Rockbot 2. That is your national high points champion here in lane number 1. That U17 qualified. Well, I'll give you 2 guesses, and the first one doesn't count. Number 1 with a speed of 166.999 miles per hour for Cy Bowen. That boat was cooking there in qualifying. And Mickey Washburn, the U9 Miss Coca-Cola, going without the cowling here tonight. The U9 qualified in the 2nd spot at 166.274 miles per hour. And this gold boat here in the middle of your picture, that is the U60 A&W Root Beer. That is Scott Garner in the with the A&W Root Beer. He qualified in the middle of the pack at 165.491 miles per hour. Good enough for 100 points. So, Nicholas, they're all lined up in turn number 2, and with there only being 3 minutes on the mill, there's not a lot of time to get around a second time. So, these boats are all setting up, trying to get a lane for what is going to be an electric run into turn number 2 to get the to get the start in about 20 seconds time.
Yeah, they're doing some different things. The last heat, we saw the guys coming pretty fast, and now they were parked at 1 minute before the start. So it's only 13 seconds before the start.
Coming off round turn number 2, Cy Bowen's in lane number 1. He's got a great launch. Let's turn him loose in Heat 1A of the Bill Muncy Cup. We're 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark! It's a good start, and we're underway. It's a great start in lane number 1, but look at Gardner out there in lane number 5, Nick.
Gardner was pretty fast at the start in the lane number 5, and he's second in front is Cy Bowen. But in the turn, we have Washburn in the lane number 2, Johnson in second, and now Gardner is third. When Washburn has some difficulties at the end of the turn.
Washburn actually got into the wake of Cy Bowen there. He's going to fall back. Tim Johnson's going to be in second. Scott Gardner was out in second. He's going to drop to the back of the field by virtue of being out there in that outside lane. As they exit turn number 1 to put 1 lap down in the books, it's Cy Bowen in the Rockbot who continues to lead from Tim Johnson, and it's a battle for third between Scott Gardner in the U60 and Mickey Washburn in the U9 as they cross the start-finish line, head towards turn number 1.
Washburn still inside. It's in lane number 1. Gardner, I think, is still in the lane number 4. Let's see at the end of the turn. Washburn is in the wake of Johnson and Bowen. Pretty difficult for Washburn in the turn, but still there behind Scott Gardner in the AW Root Beer.
Yeah, Scott Gardner actually has some cleaner water out there, so he's able to pick up the 3rd spot. Mickey Washburn is trying to stay on the inside. He's in the slop. So he's going to fall back to the 4th spot. He may fall a couple more positions before the end of this heat. But back up front, Cy Bowen in the U17 Rockbot. It's got about a rooster tail advantage over the U50, the Miss Tri-Cities. 2 of our faster qualifiers, 2 of our faster racers going at it here as we start the last lap. Nick, it's Cy Bowen in control of this heat.
Cy Bowen still leading, and now we see why he's the champion of the D1. But Washburn is still closer to Garner for the 3rd place. Garner at the outside. Washburn on the inside in the rough water. And Gray has some problem in the back stretch. We have to watch him.
Back up front, Cy Bowen continues to lead. We do have a boat up front. That is Tim Johnson. Not sure what happened. I'm sorry, that is not Tim Johnson. That's Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior. Not sure what happened to that boat. He will go a lap down, which is exceedingly rare here in the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. But Bowen goes to the outside, gives the lapped boat plenty of space as he exits turn number 2. Heads to the start-finish line to pick up 400 points and the win. Actually, before I say that, Tim Johnson's actually on the inside, going to make a run at it. As they get to the start-finish line, it's going to be Cy Bowen who holds on to it.
What the end by Bowen and Tim Johnson for the lead.
So not sure what happened there. Harley Gray kind of took Cy Bowen to the beach. That opened up the inside for Tim Johnson. However, Tim Johnson was not close enough to get the pass done to take the win. The officials going to take a pretty dim view of that, Nick, as the lap boat kind of inserted itself there in how that heat finished there at the end.
Yeah, normally the lap boat has to go outside to... I lost my words, sorry.
All good.
But normally the fast boat can stay inside to lap a boat who has some problem, and he has to stay on the outside the lap boat. So I don't know what happened with Harley Gray, but hopefully it was not an official race. So, but now we're going with the Heat 1A in a couple of seconds.
Yep. So Heat 1A is in the Heat 1A is now in the books. And we'll be right back right after this. All right, so let's reset. We apologize for a little bit of the miscommunication there. This is actually Heat 1A now. Apparently we were doing 2 Dash for Cash races that did not get run up the flagpole to us here in the announcer's booth. So We will try to reset. Nick, we got the practice one out, the practice calls out of the way. Now we're all warmed up, and this one's for real.
This one is for real. This one is now for championship points, but not for the high points leader because Cy Bowen is already the champion of the D1. But let's see what Mickey Washburn can do.
Yep, so we've already teed up some of these starters. This is Jay Sadrowski in U19 House of Color. He won our first Dash for Cash that you saw there just a few minutes ago. Here's Tim Johnson in the U50. Saw him run second in the second of the Dash for Cash races. So all these drivers have now had an opportunity to sight the course, get their timing marks together, and now, with a full 5-minute mill, we'll get to go to work and show you the intricacies of boat racing as we'll go through a race within a race. So, for those of you that are watching for the first time, I do see a couple of first-timers in the chat. What is going on right now is called the mill. Since we are racing on water, you can't exactly stage the boats at the start-finish line and turn them loose. So, the drivers will run around for 5 minutes trying to get ready into the lane that they want. We fight for lanes here in Saturday Night Hydroplane League Division 1, which means no lane is assigned when you leave the dock. At about 1:30 seconds, they will hit start-finish line, and that's when our fight for lanes begins after what is called the score-up. Once they hit the start-finish line, you duel for your lane. Whoever has the lane can keep it, but if they have another boat, they get 7 boat lengths around them, and we will make a note of that as it happens. They will be able to overcut and take the lane away from another driver. So you want to make sure you're getting, at this point, your timing runs to make sure you hit the line with enough speed at 1:30 seconds that you don't lose your lane and have to go to the outside where it's a bit harder to win the race, obviously, as out here in the water, we've got no banking. That means shortest way around is usually going to be the fastest. And Nick, the more important part of this, you're going to have 2 bites of the apple at this start. You'll have a practice start here in about 30 seconds, then the real one 90 seconds after.
Yeah, like you said, we have the score up in 20 seconds. If you jump the score up, you have to go at the outside, and last week I jumped 2 score up, so I know what I'm saying right now.
So about 10 seconds from that score up, DJ Miller is going to lead them down. He's in lane number 1, but now Mickey Washburn's going to get the jump at 3 seconds to go, make that 2 seconds. 1 second. Mark! That's a good score up, and we're underway, and it's the U9 and the U19 that got the advantage heading towards turn 1, Nick.
Yeah, U9, let's see, Jason Sadrowski, we're still side by side, but I think Washburn will be in the first lane. Sadrowski will be in the second. Nick Kish is way behind. Johnson will be the third, I think, but still in front we have Washburn, and Sadrowski went 60 seconds before the start.
And it looks like they're going to stay there with Washburn in 1. Sadrowski's going to get in 2. Tim Johnson will be in 3. To his outside will be DJ Miller. He'll be in lane number 4. Nick Kish and Kellen Washburn will have the outside lanes. So 40 seconds to go until the start, second phase, getting ready. If you're the U19 or the U9, you like the start you got there. If you are, however, the DC Presents Def, you want a much better start than what you got there at the fight for lanes, as we are now 22 seconds away from the start. They make their way through turn number 2. It's going to be Washburn that leads the way, and now, officially, let's turn them loose in Heat 1A. We're 10 seconds from the start in the last race of the season. Make that 6 seconds. Make that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! It's a good start, and the U9 gets there first with the U19 there on the outside.
What a start by Nick Kish at the outside, but let's see how it goes between Mickey Washburn on the inside. Sadrowski is second, and third we have Tim Johnson, DJ Miller. Fourth we have Nick Kish, who took a good start from lane number 6, but still in the lead we have Mickey Washburn in a U9 Miss Coca-Cola.
Jay Sadrowski, you ride along with him. He's in second, but a great start by Mickey Washburn's got him the lead. We go 3 times around. It's half a rooster tail between the U19 and the U9. Mickey Washburn, our championship runner-up, would love to wash the salty taste out of his mouth, ironically, with a win here at San Diego. As we wrap up lap number 1, we put lap number 2 up on the board. It's Mickey Washburn leading the way with Jay Sadrowski giving chase.
Sadrowski still, I think, 3/4 behind, 3/4 of Rooster Tail behind Washburn, and him has to see. DJ Miller is not too far behind, but he's on the outside. We look at DJ Miller in third, is very chasing Jay Sadrowski for the second place.
Yeah, Jay Sadrowski there on the inside, DJ Miller on the outside. Sadrowski has second. DJ Miller wants to take it away. As they head into turn number 2, those points are going to be vital with how little boats are in the pit lane this evening. Sadrowski's got the 300 points. It's 225 for DJ Miller where he is in third. But up front with 400 points and a chance to win is going to be Mickey Washburn and Miss Coca-Cola. He crosses the start-finish lines. They're on the final lap of Heat 1A.
Washburn still dominant this race, first heat official of the night, but Sadrowski still one rooster tail in front of DJ Miller. Miller is now going inside. We're still side by side, and Miller is very closer to Sadrowski with 3/4 of track to do.
We ride along now with DJ Miller. He's inside of lane number 1. That right sponsor got high off the water, but he's got a lot of boat speed there on the inside. Now Jason Drowsey's going to shade over, trying to pin DJ Miller into that lane, but DJ Miller gets the flight down the back straightaway. He's going to get second heading into turn number 2. And up front, though, it's going to be Mickey Washburn in the U9. The Miss Coca-Cola hits the exit pin at turn number 2. No one around him. 400 points in front of him, and Mickey Washburn's going to take the win in Heat 1A. Now we jump back to the battle for a second. Who's going to get it between DJ Miller and Jay Sadrowski? It's going to be Sadrowski on the outside, picking up second. DJ Miller's going to be third. Nick Kish will be fourth. Callum Washburn will be fifth. And rounding out the field, Tim Johnson, a disappointing 6th place for the U50. So the first official heat is in the books as Mickey Washburn that strikes pay dirt first. We'll talk to him at the end, we'll talk to him in just a moment as Heat 1A is finished and the Bill Muncy Cup, presented by HydroSim, is on. Sit tight, we'll be right back. So the first heat of the night, and it was a stunner, and Mickey Washburn picks up the win. He joins us now. Mickey, there was a lot of racing going on behind you, but I don't think you're upset that you missed it, picking up the 400 points here.
No, I'll gladly miss racing if it's behind me. That's the perfect spot to be in.
All right, so Mickey, you pick up the win here, first heat of the night. Only 12 boats here to this evening, so you're not going to have a lot of time to bask in the glory of things. How do you quickly reset for your second heat that's going to be coming up really in about 10 minutes?
Right. It's going to be bang, bang, bang tonight, and with so few heats, you really can't have a mistake. You have to score good, and if you have a bad heat, it might knock you out of the final. One bad heat might keep you out tonight, so you have to be on your game every time you're out there tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a night where you're going to have a mulligan heat. You've got to have the three best heats of the evening. Well, you've had your first one. You got 2 opportunities left. Mickey, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
All right, thanks, Daryl. Thanks, Nick, for doing this. This is awesome that you guys do this for us, so thanks.
Thank you so much. So that is Heat 1A in the books. Nick, what did you think? Your first action of Division 1 from the booth.
It was pretty spectacular for the second place between DJ Miller and Jay Sidrowski. And at the end of the third lap, we saw Miller in front of Sidrowski, but I don't know what happened in the turn. Sidrowski passed it again, and he's finished his second place. So I don't know what happened to DJ Miller in the turn 2 in lap number 3.
Yeah, we saw DJ Miller. He had a great run there, going down the back straightaway as we watched, and he just probably was unable to hold the inside, and Jay Sidrowski had more boat speed there on the outside, able to get by and hold on to second place. That is a great start for them, and more importantly, none of those boats went upside down, so everybody gets points with tonight only being 12 boats. A DNF, I think, Nick, will sink you.
Yeah, it will sink you because there are only 12 drivers. So you don't have to do... Sorry, I will take it back. You don't have to have a bad heat because it will be pretty difficult to join up.
So let's go ahead and set the scene for Heat 1B. This will be our last run in the first flight. You got Mikey Callaway on our screen now, the U64 Belltown Hydro. Just to review, he qualified in the second spot. Sorry, he did not qualify in the second spot. Mikey qualified in the 10th spot at 164.198 miles per hour. Sorry, Mikey. Scott Prisbilski, the game maker and the reason we're all here in that U8, qualified in the 8th spot at 164.306 miles per hour. Scott Garner, the U60 A&W Root Beer, qualified in the 6th spot, 165.491 miles per hour. And Cy Bowen, our national high points champion, he's had a dominant season, qualified nearly 167 miles per hour to claim the pole and the 200 bonus points to go with it. Scott Witherall, the doctor, hang down the back straightaway on your screen now. The U77, they're on the left side of your picture, qualified third at 165.835 miles per hour. And rounding out the field will be the U29, Harley Gray, the Dream Warrior, qualified in the 4th spot at 165.768 miles per hour. So those are your 6 in this very last heat of the first flight. And they're all coalesced now into turn number 2. Got Harley Gray there on the inside. He's right behind Mikey Callaway. He's a little bit boxed in. He's going to have to go to the outside of both of those boats. And you can see Harley making that move now to get the good run here for the score up, which is going to be in about 30 seconds. Cy Bowen's in lane number 2, and up in lane number 1, you saw him briefly, was Scott Garner in the A&W Root Beer. He's going to try and sneak this one across the line and hold on to lane number 1. However, he's going to have 5 hungry boats to his outside with a whole lot of boat speed. As Cy Bowen's going to get forced out into lane number 3, as we're 10 seconds until the start. Scott Garner's going to show up on the left side of your screen here momentarily. It looks like he's going to have enough speed to hold. Those are 2 seconds, 1 second, mark. And he's got the lane number 1, but Nick, he's not going to keep it.
He's not going to keep it because Cy Bowen and Mikey Callaway are fighting for the first lane, and it's Callaway inside. Bowen will be in the second. Garner has some problem, and turn Witherell will be in the third lane with the green boat. But Callaway will be inside with 60 seconds away to the start.
Mikey Callaway is going to be inside lane number 1 as they come to the commitment buoy. That is the last buoy before turn number 2. They just crossed it there. So Callaway will be in 1. Bowen will be in 2. Harley Gray is going to be out there in lane number 4. Witherall in 3. Your outside lanes will be Scott Garner and Scott Przybylski, who, if he wants to win this race, he's going to have to get it done from the outside. So now 33 seconds to go. Drivers have time to sit and collect themselves. These are 400 important points. This is the last run of the first flight. And there's no mulligans, there's no fallback, there's no boats at the bottom of the order to absorb the blows if you get a DNF. This is all for the marbles. These are the 12 fastest drivers in SNHL. And as they cross the start-finish line buoy with 8 seconds to go, let's turn them loose again in Heat 1B. It's 4 seconds to the start. Make that 3, 2, 1, mark! And Scott Przybylski misses the start again, but it's Cy Bowen that gets across start-finish line first.
Cy Bowen is on the lead with U17, the rock boat, but Callaway's inside. Przybylski has jammed the gun. And third, we have Witherall and Garner. 3 boats very closer for the second place between Witherall, Garner, and Callaway.
Yeah, Cy Bowen has really gotten away here, but the battle right now is for second. Witherall's got it. He's in lane number 2. To his outside is Garner. To his very inside is Callaway. They make their way through turn number 2. Callaway's got the inside line. They're bracketed there by the skid fin spray of the U17. They exit turn number 2, and they're going to be deck to deck, heading down towards the start-finish line. But lap number 1 in the books. It's Bowen in the lead, but we'll stay with the battle for second between Witherall and Callaway.
Callaway still inside, and Bowen is not very far in front. Witherall in the lane number 3. Let's see how it goes in the first turn. Callaway's inside, and it's now, I think, 2 boat lengths in front of Witherall, and he's chasing Cy Bowen in the rock boat second.
Witherall's now dropped back to third. Callaway's got the second spot by virtue of lane number 1, but Cy Bowen there in lane number 2 is leading the field around. That boat has been able to win from every lane but except, I think, about lane 6. As Callaway jumped to the outside. He got into the wake of the U17. He jumped to the outside. That forces Witherall all the way to the beach. They hold on to it, but as we start the final lap, it's Cy Bowen in the rock bot that's got the lead by a rooster tail over Mikey Callaway in the Belltown Hydro.
But Garner has some problem, and we're almost touching between him and Przybylski. Witherall is third with the U77 Miss Castrol GTX, but Cy Bowen is always dominate this race, like he's dominate the Dash for Cash.
Yeah, well, tell me if you've heard this one before, but Cy Bowen is on his way to a heat win here in the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Cy Bowen took a long time off, came back and didn't miss a beat. He won Division 2, he won Division 1, and now as he comes off turn number 2, he's going to win Heat 1B of the Bill Muncy Cup and take 400 points and the win. So Bowen rounds out, closes accounts here in the first flight. Oh, Scott Witherall. That boat did not get across the line. So that's going to be a DNF. Mikey Callaway is going to be in second. Scott Garner will end up in third. Well, as you put your results there on the screen. And Mikey Callaway is under review for what happened there in turn 2, lap number 2. We saw that on our screen. But it's going to be Scott Garner, Harley Gray, and Scott Przybylski round out the top 5. And Scott Witherall was about 100 feet from going across. If that boat flips but crosses the start-finish line, he still gets the points. And that boat came down just shy of finishing the heat. Nick, that is a killer.
That killer is 0 points for Scott Witherall. 2 races to go before the final, so let's see how it goes for Witherall in the next 2 flights.
So that wraps up the first flight already. We're already on to the second flight of heat. So sit tight because you might miss a lot if you walk away from that computer screen or your cell phone or even your TV, wherever you're watching tonight. We're getting ready for the second flight, but we'll sit tight and we'll hear from Cy Bowen in a minute. I think we're going to have to start calling these interviews the Cy Bowen podcast in Saturday Night Hydroplane League as Cy picks up yet another heat race win on the year. Cy, I'm running out of superlatives to announce just how dominant this season has been. You're just on it.
Yeah, we played, had Mikey play pick for me. We were able to let him have lane one. I know that we can kind of keep up, if not be a little bit faster than Mikey on the outside. So, I figured let him play pick. I didn't want to risk getting botched in or anything. And luckily it worked out. He got overlap. I was able to move over to lane two and, get a good start and be able to get overlap on him.
So this is a unique night with only 12 drivers. It's going to be one right after the other with heats. How do you get settled in and into a rhythm when this night is probably going to be over within the next 30 to 45 minutes?
You don't necessarily, because I'm gonna go right after this again, and then I got one heat that I got to break, and then right again. So there's no real break on it, which is gonna be nice for a quick night, but you don't necessarily get in a rhythm. It's gonna be back to back to back.
All right, Cy. Well, rhythm, no rhythm. You have been the dominant factor in the last couple of years. Back-to-back championships. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So the first flight of heats are over. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll start Heat 2A. Cy Bowen will be there, and joining him will be Scott Prisbilski, Mikey Calloway, and a whole ton of Division I racers looking for 400 points and a spot in the final. We'll be right back after this. And just like that, Heat 2A out onto the water. 6 more unlimited hydroplanes looking for points as they get into, as they even call in golf, the moving round. This is the moving heats here in Heat 2A. We'll start with Cy Bowen. You just heard from him, the Rock Bot. Qualified first, finished Heat 1A first. He's got a perfect 600 points so far. Mickey Washburn in the U9 Miss Coca-Cola. Next up, Mickey qualified in the second spot. Finished in Heat 1A as our winner. He's on 580 points. Callum Washburn in the U44 Washburn 3D Race Boats. Qualified in the 11th spot. Finished 5th in Heat 1A. He's got 177 points to his name. Well, Mikey Callaway, you just saw him. He finished in the... Mikey qualified, actually finished second in Heat 1B, excuse me. He qualified in the 10th spot. He's on 360 points. DJ Miller, DC Presents Deft, the U1, qualified in position number 7. He then finished third in Heat 1A. He's on 315 points. And Scott Prispilski, the U8, qualified 8th, did not get a good run on his timing marks at all. So he jumped the start twice for a 5th place finish. He's on 207 points. So those are your starters for Heat 2A. And Nick, this is where you have an opportunity, really your only opportunity of the night, to where if you had a bad first heat, you can still put yourself in a position to get into the final with a good run here. But if you had a good heat, you just want to do exactly what you just did in the first flight to ensure yourself you're going to that final.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what Scott Przybilski can do after a jump start in the last race. But it will be very difficult. Because we have Cy Bowen and Mickey Washburn, the 1-2 championship leaders actually in the D1. So it will be interesting to see what they can do in this race.
Yep, we got Cy Bowen there on the screen. Yes, we're supposed to have Mickey in this heat, but we do not currently see Mickey. There he is on the water. Making his way through turn number 2. A late arrival, that U9. Sorry, we did mention that U9, excuse me. So as Mickey makes his way around turn number 2, about 20 seconds until the fight for lanes. And you've already got up here the Belltown Hydro, the U17, and the U1 is now they're on the pedal with 10 seconds to go until the score up. And it looks like we're all going to get up here the first time, but the big run's going to come from the outside with Callum Washburn and Mickey Washburn. As there are 2 seconds, 1 second mark, and they're both going to have to go to the outside. But it's Mikey Callaway again with a great run as they head towards turn number 1.
Mikey Callaway take a good score up, but let's see how it goes because we have DJ Miller, I think, between Cy Bowen and Mikey Callaway, and Miller is still closer to Bowen and Callaway in the lane number 2, and jump score up for the 2 Washburn.
Yep, so Mikey Callaway's going to hit the commitment buoy first. He'll have lane number 1. Lane number 2 will go to DJ Miller. Lane number 3 will go to Cy Bowen. Przybilski will be on the outside, and lane number 4 and 5 and 6 will go to Mickey and Callum Washburn. So those are your lane assignments now for Heat 2A. Now it's all about who can get on the pedal first. Coming around turn number 2, Scott Przybilski and the boats on the outside. They're going to stay in the throttle, make their way around turn number 2. It looks like they may have the advantage on this start as there's 17 seconds till to go. The U17 is far back. So is the U1 and the U64. But now they're going to get caught up as they make their way around turn 2. As we're 10 seconds to the start of Heat 2A. Let's turn them loose in the second flight as we're 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 mark. It's a good start, and it's Cy Bowen from lane number 2 with the lead. From lane number 3 with the lead, but it's DJ Miller hot on his heels on the inside.
Mikey Callaway has some problem at the start, but let's see how it goes between Bowen and Miller. They are side by side. Miller is inside and Bowen on the outside. Third, we have Callaway and Przybylski. So we have two battles in the leads. Miller and Bowen, Przybylski, and Mikey Callaway.
Back up front, Cy Bowen's got the lead by about a couple of boat lengths between him and DJ Miller, but Miller's got the inside, heading towards turn number 2. Will that be an advantage for DC Presents Def? It looks like DJ Miller's going to pull in at least a boat length. He's going to get a second boat length. He's going to draw even with the U-17, exiting turn number 2. They make their way down toward the start-finish line to put lap number 2 on the board, and it's Cy Bowen and DJ Miller neck and neck for the lead, heading to 1.
Deck to deck between Bowen and Miller. Let's see how it goes in the second lap. Miller has only one lane to turn. Bowen is still there, but Miller is now side by side, and Przybylski is third in front of Mikey Callaway. What a battle in the lead, Darryl, between Cy Bowen and DJ Miller.
Yeah, DJ Miller is holding Cy Bowen honest here as they head down towards turn number 2. Miller's got that inside advantage. He's able to gain a couple of boat lengths, but Bowen's got the speed on the outside. He's able to drag it all back. They head through turn number 2 this time. DJ Miller almost draws even, will draw even again, as it's going to be a drag boat race. Heading down toward the start-finish line with one more lap to go. It's Bowen Miller for the battle for the lead in Heat 2A.
Bowen has only one boat length in front of DJ Miller. Let's see how it goes in the turn number 1. Bowen still have the one boat length, but Miller still closer in now, side by side. Let's see who's going to win this race between Bowen and Miller.
It's DJ Miller on the inside, Cy Bowen on the outside. Bowen's got a boat length advantage, but Miller's got the inside line. He's going to need a Hail Mary toss into turn number 2, though, to assure he gets that lead with how fast Cy Bowen has been on the outside. Miller slides into turn number 1, and DJ Miller's going to get held close. Now he's going to get to the inside. Miller's going to take the lead off turn number 2. It's a drag race heading down towards the start-finish line. Who's going to take the win at Heat 1B? It's Miller. Bowen at the line. Bowen takes the win by a sponson tip over DJ Miller in the heat of the night.
Woo!
Rest of the field comes across the line now. You get the results there on your screen. Scott Przybylski will be 3rd, Callum Washburn 4th, Mickey Washburn 5th, Mikey Callaway 6th. And Nick, that was final heat quality. Bowen Miller going blow for all 3 laps.
That was the best race of the night, but the night still very shortly again. But I don't know what happened to Mikey Callaway. It was 3rd after the first turn. It was batting between Scott Przybylski, and he finished 6th behind Mickey Washburn. So the next race will be pretty spectacular, I'm sure.
So Heat 2A is in the books. We will hear from Cy Bowen in a moment. It's been a fun one here at the Bill Muncy Cup, and it rolls on right after this. So Cy Bowen joins us again, but Cy, that was definitely not a walk in the park. You and DJ Miller went hammer and tong there for all 3 laps, which was very fun for us here in the booth to call. How was that for you driving the boat?
Oh, it was a blast. We knew DJ stayed within about a boat length of us that entire time. We were trying to hold him as tight as possible, of course, without taking away his lane, and fly it as hard as possible. DJ is insanely fast here, and I'm glad that we were able to win on the outside and barely beat him.
Yep. So now you go into, you've won your 2 heats. It's been a very fast night. You got a lot of data, though, to pick through before the final heat. How would it feel to wrap up this season with another final heat win?
Oh, it'd be awesome. I think that may put us in the lead for most finals in D1 in a single season. So that would be awesome to get another record. I think we surpassed Eddie on the record for most points in a single season. So it would just be awesome. It'd wrap out this season spectacularly. Being able to do break tons of records, go champion to champion, and then hopefully end on the night perfect.
All right, Cy, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Heat 2B coming up next. I want to apologize for those technical difficulties, but we are back up and at 'em here in Heat 2B. 4 minutes left until the start. Let's go through our starting lineup quickly. We will start with the U50, the Miss Tri-Cities. On your screen, that is Tim Johnson. Tim qualified in the 5th spot, but ended up Tailgunner Charlie in Heat 1A. Only 95 points. He's on 215. He's going to need a big win to have a chance at the final. Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior is 2nd here in this heat. He is qualified in the 4th spot, finished 4th though in Heat 1B. He's on 309 points. Nick Kish, he's clinched his spot in Division 1 after finishing his first heat with 169 points. He qualified in the 12th spot. He's on 209 points. And Scott Witherall, the Castrol GTX, qualified in the 3rd spot, but a disappointing DNF in Heat 1A has got him stuck on 160. And Scott Garner, also in this heat, U60 A and W Root Beer, qualified in the 6th spot and finished 3rd in Heat 1B. He's on 325 points. Jay Zadrowski, the U19 House of Color, is next up. The U19 qualified in the 9th spot and finished 2nd in Heat 1A. He's on 370 points. And rounding out this field will be Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior. Qualified in the 4th spot, finished 4th in Heat 1B. He's on 309 points. And what happened there? Harley Gray and Nick Kish, I think, made contact. Nick Kish went pinwheeling like a helicopter. And before we even start the heat, Nick, we're down 1 boat already.
I didn't see what happened between Nick Kish and Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior, but that will be difficult. And Sidrowski, I think it's inside of the course. The lane number 1.
So Nick Kish is back going. We'll see what the officials have to say whether or not that boat will be able to continue. Meanwhile, back in turn number 2, Jay Sadrowski is on the inside. He's in lane number 1. He's going to have the early run here to the start-finish line to start the fight for lanes. It's only going to be Scott Witherall who's up with them as we're 2 seconds, 1 second, mark, and it's Sadrowski and Witherall all alone heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, Witherell take a good score up, but I think it's want to go inside, but Sadrowski's still there. Witherell will go in the lane number 2. Sadrowski will stay inside, and I think in the third lane we're gonna have Tim Johnson, but I think it's the second lane. Witherell still in the lane number 3, I think.
So we'll hit the we'll hit the commitment pin. Tim Johnson nearly went over. He's going to be in lane number 3. Jay Sadrowski's in 1. Scott Witherall in 2. Scott Garner in 4. Harley Gray will be in 5. And it looks like Nick Kish will continue. He's on 6. And if our field could stop trying to kill each other, that would be great. We have 30 seconds to the start of Heat 2B. Let's hope we can get around with no more shenanigans from anyone as we go through turn number 2. Nick Kish got a whole lot of speed there on the outside. Jason Drosky there on the inside. Looks like we'll have 4 boats lined up here for the start. As we exit turn number 2, let's turn loose in Heat 2B. We're 8 seconds from the start. Watch lane number 5 as we're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark! And it's going to be a jump start by Harley Gray, but it's Jay Sadrowski with the lead in lane number 1, heading into turn number 1.
Sadrowski's inside, but Grace jumped the gun. And second we have, I think, Witherell. Johnson is third, but not too far behind Witherell, but I think they are side by side.
Down the back straightaway here on lap number 1, it's Jay Sadrowski with the lead, side by side. There on the right side of your picture, it's Scott. Sorry, on the left side of your picture, it's Scott Witherall on the inside, Tim Johnson on the outside in the battle for the second spot. Witherall pushes Johnson out just a little bit as they make their way through turn number 2 as Witherall holds on to a 1-boat advantage for the second spot. But up front, it's Jay Sadrowski in the lead. It's the Castrol GTX, though, in second. And the Miss Tri-City's in third as we start lap number 2.
But they're still closer to Sadrowski. I think there's 1 rooster tail between Sadrowski and Witherell, and 2 boat lengths between Witherell and Johnson in the U50. Fourth, we have Garner and Gray, but Gray jumped the gun. Nick Kish is 6th, but still in the lead, it's Jay Sadrowski in the U19 House of Color.
Back up front, Sadrowski's made that lead out to about 3/4 of a rooster tail now. Scott Witherall, though, at this point, I think he just wants to get across the finish line, take the points home, and have a chance at getting in the final in the third flight of heats. To his outside is Tim Johnson. He's trying to go a couple of spots higher and pick up a heat win. But as we cross the start-finish line to start the final lap, it's Sadrowski leading the way with Scott Witherall and Tim Johnson trying to chase him down.
No change after 2 laps. Still Sadrowski in the lead, Witherell second, Johnson in third, Gardner 4th with the U60, Harley Grace 5th, but he's jumped the gun, and 6th we have Nick Kish, but it will be 5th at the end of the lap.
So Jay Sadrowski now stretched that lead out to about a rooster tail between him and Scott Witherall. Witherall in position to pick up 300 points, a badly needed 300 points to help his chances at getting into the final heat. But making their way through turn number 2 with no one around him, 400 points in front of him. It's going to be Jay Sadrowski in the U19 House of Color closes accounts in the second flight with the win in Heat 2B.
And hopefully Witherell didn't flip the boat.
He did get across this time. Because Scott Gardner going to end up in the 4th spot. Got Tim Johnson in 3rd, Gardner 4th, Nick Kish 5th, Harley Gray, you saw there jump the gun. He will be in 6th. So that wraps up this second flight of heats. We'll talk to Jay Sadrowski and get to your 3rd and final flight in just a moment. So Jay Zadrowski picks up the win. He joins me now in the booth. Jay, it's been a quick night, but you pick up your first official heat win of the night, and it's got to feel good. Both boats running very quick tonight.
Yeah, much needed. I think that secures the top 10 for sure. So, all-star race ready.
So we go into tonight. It's been a much faster night with the 12 boats, but what's also helped as the wind has been down. But there was a couple of hair-raising moments there in that heat where you guys almost came together.
Yeah, Sai was telling me that Scott was real close, and then him and Tim got real close. So it was just try to keep them outside. Don't leave them room on the inside to come inside of me.
All right, Jay, congratulations, and good luck the rest of the night.
Thanks, Daryl.
3rd flight coming up next. Third flight of heats ready to go as we close in on the nightcap of the season here in SNHL Division 1 Season 7, 6 limited hydroplanes out on the water. Here are your starters and what they need to do to get into the final. We'll start with Scott Przybylski. There on your screen, the Mr. Pringles 1987, currently on 432 points. Przybylski is going to need a win and only a win to get on that front line of the final. Cy Bowen, the U17 Rockbot, he doesn't have to do anything. He's got a perfect 1,000 points. He's already in the final. So Cy looking to wrap up his Season 7 with a victory. Harley Gray, the U29 Dream Warrior, is up next, qualifying the 4th spot tonight. He's on 404 points. He's another one of those drivers that is win or bust. And Jay Zadrowski, the U19, he qualified in the 2nd spot. Jay currently in the 2nd spot, just needs a good finish. Top half finish should be enough to get him into the final. DJ Miller on 615 points there in DC Presents Deft. He also just needs to get a decent finish, and that should lock him in. And somebody back there just hit a buoy. And I believe that somebody was Harley Gray. We're going to check the results screen. Yes, it was Harley Gray, so that's one boat that's unfortunately not going to make the final. And Scott Witherall, the doctor, currently sitting on 460 points. He is in that final spot. A win would clinch it for him. So that is how things line up, Nick, for Heat 3A. I would say we have 6 boats that are battling for a spot in the final, but we then just saw Harley Gray knock over that buoy. So we only have 5.
Yeah, Harley Gray will have a penalty to hit the buoy, like you said. But Cy Bowen is in first spot in the final because he has 2 wins in the 2 first flights and 200 points in the qualification. The drivers to put your eyes on, it's Scott Witherell with a 3rd place and the 2nd place in the last flight. So he's in the last spot in the final, so he has to go to had a good result in this race.
Yeah, so we flash back up to the front straightaway now where the boats are all lined up. A lot of boats are actually now on the front straightaway. Harley Gray, he's not a factor, unfortunately, in this heat. Jay Zadrowski there also on the inside. Scott Witherall just to the outside of Zadrowski as they get on the pedal for the run to the start-finish line. DJ Miller there, he's in lane number 3. Lane number 4 has got Cy Bowen in it as there are 5 seconds until the jump. Make that 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark! And yet again, Scott Przybylski misses the start, but it's 4 boats under a blanket heading into turn number 1.
Zadrowski inside, Witherell in the 3rd. In the 2nd lane, Przybylski, forget him, is we have a DJ Miller and Cy Bowen in the lane number 4, actually. So Witherell is in the lead, will be in the 2nd lane. Zadrowski will be inside Miller in 3rd, and Bowen will be in the 4th. And Gray will be in the 5th or 6th. Oh, well, almost a contact between Witherell and Zadrowski.
So Zadrowski in 1, Witherall in 2, Miller in 3. 4 will be Cy Bowen. Harley Gray there on the inside. He's in lane number 3. We'll see how that works out. And on the outside is going to be Scott Przybylski. So now we get ready for the start. Jay Zadrowski's there on the inside there in lane number 1. DJ Miller's to the outside. Harley Gray is going to get that pedal going. Looks like he's going to be in lane number 3. He's going to be in lane number 5 actually now for Cy Bowen. So he's going to be on the outside, but he really doesn't need to do anything. He's already in the final. Harley Gray, he's up front. He's not going to be a factor. He hit a buoy. We'll stay with these 3 in the rear of their picture as there's 6 seconds until the start. Make that 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! It's a good score up, and it's Scott Witherall who leads the line, across the line first, heading into turn number 1.
What a start by Scott Witherall. And Bowen is actually 5th in this race. So in the lead, we have Witherall, Zadrowski, Przybylski, Miller, in fourth, and Cy Bowen is actually last in this race.
Cy Bowen is last, but that may be by design. He doesn't need to get mixed up in anything here, as he's already the 1 seed for the final. But up front, Scott Witherall, who desperately needs something positive to end this season on. Been a disappointing season by Witherall standards. He's got the lead, and Jason Drowsey's actually going to get washed down as he got into the wake of that U-77. Sadrowski gets washed down. He's going to go down the order, but it's Scott Witherall leading the way as we start lap 2.
What a battle we have for the second place between Przybylski and Mr. Pringles 1987 and DJ Miller in the U1, and Bowen is not too far behind them.
We'll stay with this battle for fourth, heading towards exiting turn number 1. Przybylski's on the outside. Miller's on the inside. Przybylski needs to, still looking for his first not national high points win. His first final heat win may not come tonight if he can't get into that front line of the final. He's got to find a way around this U1. But DJ Miller there on the inside of there in lane number 3. It's going to extend the advantage between him and Przybylski by 2 boat lengths, exiting the corner. But back up front, it's Scott Witherall with no one around him and 300 points in front of him if he can complete this lap.
Witherall is way in front. Sadrowski is 6th because he was washed down. Bowen is 5th. Przybylski still closer to DJ Miller in the U1. But Miller tried to pass Harley Gray, but Gray has a penalty to hit the buoy.
So they've stretched out to a little bit of a boat parade now, and Scott Witherall is the conductor of this train. A great finish for Scott. He's going to lock himself into the front line of the final, have an opportunity to end this season with a final heat win. As he goes through turn number 2, there's no one around him. 400 points in front of him as Scott Witherall exits turn number 2 and heads to the start-finish line as the winner of Heat 3A. So Witherall takes the win. Gray's going to come across second, but he'll drop down the order. Strauss going to come across in the 6th spot. Let's get the order on your screen. Miller 2nd, Przybylski 3rd, Bowen in 4th, Harley Gray in 5th, and Jay Sadrowski in 6th. We'll round out Heat 3A. So that will wrap up our penultimate qualifying heat of the season. We'll hear from the winner and get you started with Heat 3B next. All right. So, Scott Witherall, the winner of Heat 3A. And, Scott, you did exactly what you needed to do. A win would lock you into the final, and you get that win, and now you're on your way to the final.
Yeah, at least I didn't blow it over 2 feet before the finish.
Yeah, we saw that in the first heat. That was tragic because if that boat crosses the start-finish line, you would have got the points. Take us through what happened there.
Oh, that? Oh, I come out. Mikey got washed out to the outside. When he did, he went in front of me, and I went up his rooster tail. I just saved in time, caught in front of Gardner, got my composure, got back going again, trying to run him back down. And we got to the finish line. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking behind me.
I think
Roll
that's
eyes forward, eyes forward.
I think that's gotten most of us where we're watching the back, watching behind us, not in front of us, and that left foot gets a little happy and sends us over.
Yeah.
But it's got a happy ending here. You got a chance to go for
Oh
the
yeah,
final.
yeah. I gave my race buddy a little bit of a car wash.
Yeah. So Scott, congratulations. Good luck in the
Thank you.
final.
Thanks if I make it.
Well, no, you're in now.
Right.
So congratulations.
Oh no shit. Oh, sorry about that. How do you say that in French?
Hey, we're not the FIA. We won't find you.
Okay,
so.
gotcha. All right. See you guys.
See ya. Heat 3B coming up next. Last qualifying heat of the season. Last chance of the year to make a final in Division 1. These are your 6 starters. These are their scenarios to get one of these 2 qualifying spots. We'll start with Tim Johnson. He's in the U50 Miss Tri-Cities. He's got 440 points. A win or a second is what he needs to get into the front line of the final. Scott Garner in the U60 A&W Root Beer is next up. Scott is currently sitting in the 8th spot at 494 points. He's also a top 2, and you're in. Mikey Calloway, the U64 Belltown Hydro, currently sitting on 455 points. Third verse, same as the second. Top 2 finish, he's in. And Nick Kish, the U90 Easton Eagle, he has to win to get a spot in the final. Or in the front line of the final, rather. Mickey Washburn, he's in 5th, 707 points, just needs to finish up front, and he will be in our last final of the season. And Callum Washburn, the U44 Washburn 3D Race Post, 346 points, win, and he's in, lose. And he can go ahead and get an early disassembly job on that boat to get ready for Season 8. So, Nick, it's the penultimate qualifying heat of not just Division 1, but penultimate qualifying heat of the season as we get ready to wrap up what has been an exciting SNHL season.
Yeah, an exciting season of SNHL like we have in D1 and D2. But let's see how it goes for the penultimate qualifiers before the last final of the year.
So here we are, 2 minutes, 22 seconds left in the final milling period in a qualifying heat this season. Up front, you've got Nick Kish there in lane number 1. Tim Johnson's now going to pull in front of him, so that's going to push Nick Kish and Mikey Calloway out to lanes 2 and 3. Calloway actually is going to go around Nick Kish and pull into lane 2. Mickey Washburn there back in that red and black boat. It's going to stay just in turn number 2 to the outside of Nick Kish. Callum Washburn's there on the far outside as they get ready for the run to the finish line. This is going to be extremely important to see who's going to be in the best position to take the win in this heat and advance to the front line of the final. It's we're at 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark, that's a good score up, and it's 4 boats under a blanket heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, Johnson is inside with the gray and orange boat. Callaway second. Whereas Nick Kish is third. Washburn is fourth. Garner will be on the outside with some problem for Nick Kish. That gives the opportunity to Washburn to take the lane number 3.
Yeah, I think Nick Kish either got washed down or got real squirrely out of turn number 1, had to take his foot out of it. That's going to push him to the outside. But up front, it's going to be Tim Johnson in 1, Mikey Callaway in 2, Mickey Washburn in 3. You're going to have Scott Gardner in 4, Callum Washburn in 5, and Nick Kish in 6. That is your lineup in the final qualifying heat of the season. So Washburn in lane 3. A win for him, it just adds more points to his tally. He's already going into the final as Nick Kish is going to try to get this flying start from lane number 6. He's going to exit turn number 2 at 11 seconds. Let's turn him loose for the final qualifying heat of season 7. We are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! And Nick Kish, I think, may have jumped the start, but up front in lane number 1 is going to be Tim Johnson that leads into turn 1.
Johnson take a good start, but let's see how it goes between Garner and Callaway. Callaway still in front of Garner. Nick Kish has jumped the gun, will be in 6th. Kellen Washburn and Mikey Washburn are fighting for the 5th place.
So down the back straightaway for the first of 3, it's Tim Johnson leading the way, Mikey Callaway second, Scott Garner in 3rd, Nick Kish in 4th, but he's got the penalty. He's going to drop back. And meanwhile, it's a battle between the Washburn brothers for 5th and 6th. Callan's got 6th. Mickey Washburn's got 5th. Mickey, though, is in the slop heading through turn number 2. That might give the spot to Callan, but back up front as you start lap number 2, it's Tim Johnson continuing to lead the way.
Johnson's way in front of Callaway, and him still one rooster tail in front of Scott Garner in the U60. Kellen Washburn still closer to his brother Mickey Washburn in the U9 Miss Coca-Cola.
Back up front, Tim Johnson already halfway down the backstretch, heading towards turn number 2. Johnson's got a rooster tail lead over Mikey Callaway, who you ride with now, heading down back towards turn number 2. Mikey Callaway is in a good spot. If he finishes here, he should get onto the front line of the final. But up front, Tim Johnson dominating this race in the U50 Miss Tri-Cities as he exits turn number 2 and heads towards the start-finish line buoy. To end lap number 2 as the white flag's in the air one more time around for Tim Johnson.
One more lap to go, and no boat still closer to Tim Johnson in the U50 Miss Tri-Cities. Kellen Washburn still last in the U44 Washburn 3D race boats. Mickey Washburn is 4th. Nick Kish has jumped the gun, so it will be 6th. Garner is still closer to Callaway, but it will be missing time for him.
So up front, Tim Johnson ready to wrap up the qualifying heats with the win and head to the final. It's been a dominant showing for the U50 Miss Tri-Cities in this heat. Gets lane number 1, gets a great jump on the start, and is going to go all 3 laps and take the win with no one around him and 400 points in front of him. Tim Johnson wraps up qualifying in Season 7 with a win. Mikey Callaway is going to come across in 2nd in the Belltown Hydro. Scott Garner's in 3rd in the U60 A&W Root Beer. Mickey Washburn is going to come home 4th. And Cal Washburn will be 5th, and Nick Kish will be 6th. Your final qualifying order of the year on the screen now. We'll hear from Tim Johnson in a moment and get you ready for the final. Now we are. Tim Johnson takes the win in Heat 3B, our last qualifying heat of the night. And Tim, that's about easy a heat that you like to wrap up a spot in the last final of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while since I've had the pleasure of talking to you, Daryl. So it's nice to finish the last qualifying heat of the season on a win, and hitting the good timing marks and just making it easy on myself.
Yeah, usually we're having these conversations a lot more often, but heading into the final heat, you've got DJ Miller, that was quick, and Cy Bowen that's been dominating this season. How do you get those boats in your rearview mirror?
Well, I think if I hit my timing marks, it should be doable, but it's definitely going to be tough. So I'm going to try my best, and hopefully I get to talk to you again soon.
All right, Tim, congratulations and good luck in
Thank
the
you.
final.
Thanks, Daryl.
So now coming up is the final heat of the season. Can Cy Bowen put another record in his pocket, or will someone knock the U-17 off the throne? We'll see in just a few moments as the final heat is next. a season's worth of effort and sacrifice all come down to this. The final heat of the season. 6 eliminated hydroplane racers head onto the water. 6 on the front line, 1 rear trailer for 7 in total. These are your drivers that will run for the Bill Muncy Cup. And we'll start with Tim Johnson on the screen. 840 points to the Miss Tri-Cities on the day. Qualified 5th. Had a 6th place finish in Heat 1A, but rallied back for 3rd and a win in the next 2 heats to make the final. Saibo in the U17 Rockbot. Nearly perfect night. Finished his Heat 3A in 4th, the one blemish, to get here on 1,169 points. Mikey Callaway in the Belltown Hydro finished 2nd in Heat 3A for 2 second place finishes and a 5th to get here on 755 points. And Scott Garner in the A&W Root Beer, he will be the trailer boat on the field. He got here on 719 points. He'll start 5 seconds behind the pack. And Scott Witherall won his last heat after a heartbreaking DNF in Heat 1A. He's here on 860 points. He'll be on the front line. And Jay Sadrowski picked up the win in Heat 2B. Had a 5th and a 2nd in his other heats. Get here on 897 points. And that will round out our final heat of the season. And Nick, this is where eternal bragging rights can be won to say you were the driver that ended season 7 with the win.
Bowen will be the favorite to win the final. Can he take another win on his pocket? We're gonna see it in around 4 or 5 minutes.
So Jay Sadrowski is up front of everybody there in lane number 1. As boats make their way around turn number 2, Sadrowski sits tight there. He's going to try to make this early run strategy work to try and get lane number 1. As Scott Gardner is going to go back around to reset. Now Tim Johnson. And it's hard to see what boat that is. That's the Belltown Hydro. In lane number 3. They're going to also start in the middle of the front stretch as they head towards the start-finish line. There's going to be a lot of speed coming to the outside. Those are 5 seconds from the start. Make that 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark! It's a great score up for Jay Sadrowski, but it's Cy Bowen out there trapped in lane number 4. Actually, lane number 5. There's 3 boats to his inside.
Touched by Washburn, Gardner, and Johnson. What happened in the turn? But now it's Sadrowski in the lead. Mickey Washburn in the 3rd. Bowen is 2nd.
Scott Witherall is also involved in that.
So we lost 2 boats, I think.
So Mickey Washburn kind of drove into Cy Bowen there, and that collected half the field. Mikey Callaway's back running, so is Scott Witherall. Tim Johnson is out of the race, and the officials will have one doozy of a mess to examine. While they do that, however, we will call it as we see it on the water here. With 24 seconds to go in the season, the boats make their way through turn number 2 one last time. It's Sadrowski in 1, Bowen in 2, Washburn 3, Gardner 4. Oh, they make contact. In Washburn in 5. It's the Bill Muncy Cup. Let's turn them loose. Heading to the start-finish line. We got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark! And it's a good start for the U19 and the U17 as they head deck to deck towards turn number 1.
What a start by Bowen and Sadrowski, who will be first. And at the end of the first turn, it's no surprise. Cy Bowen, Sadrowski in 2nd. Mickey Washburn is 3rd. Witherell is 6th, and Garner and Callaway are batting for the fourth place. Sorry.
Cybone's got the lead. Oh, Scott Witherell is over and out. His season is over. Cybone in lane number 2's got the lead. To his inside is Jay Sadrowski. Mickey Washburn is in third on the outside there in lane number 3. Bowen in the lead where we've seen him all season long. He's got his teammate, though, to his inside. And Jay Sadrowski picked up a couple of boat lengths through that turn as we end lap number 1. It's Bowen leading. Sadrowski second and Washburn in third.
So Bowen is first, Sadrowski second, and we have a DQ for Mickey Washburn. So third, we have Scott Garner in the U60 AW root beer.
So Cy Bowen has the lead. We'll check on that DQ here in a moment. It was a lane violation, a DQ to Mickey Washburn, so he is out. So Mickey Washburn is out. Third is going to be Scott Gardner now, but back up front, it's Cy Bowen with the lead by a rooster tail between him and Jay Sadrowski as they head through turn number 2. Sadrowski has the inside line, but the faster boat is to the outside in lane number 2. As we wrap up the second lap, it's this U17 leading the U19 as we start lap number 3.
What a battle between Cy Bowen and Jay Sadrowski, but Bowen has one rooster tail in front of Sadrowski. Gardner is third, and Callaway tried to coming back to take the third place, and Washburn was already DQ, but he lost it in the back stretch.
So Cy Bowen continues to lead the way as he starts to stretch out the advantage, looking to break the record for single wins in a season, as Bowen has won all but, if he crosses the start-finish line, would have won all but 2 races on the year as Bowen enters turn number 2. Jay Sadrowski trying to take the win from his teammate, but that is starting to stretch away as it's now a full rooster tail as we start the championship lap. Cy Bowen, the rock bot, in the lead. Jay Sadrowski desperately trying to chase him down.
Still one rooster tail in front of Jay Sadrowski for the U17 rock butt 2 of Cy Bowen. Callaway still fourth, Gardner third with the U60 AW root beer. Sadrowski still closer to Cy Bowen with 1 lap and a half to do.
Yeah, Sadrowski is not going to let his teammate get away. He's right along with him now. It's now 3/4 of a rooster tail between those 2 boats as the U19 there on the inside of the U17. He should be able to gain a couple of boat lengths through this turn. Sadrowski still has 2.5 miles to try to grab the lead from Cy Bowen, but he's got to make something happen now as we exit turn number 2. Cy Bowen takes the white flag. 1 more lap to go in the season.
What a domination by Cy Bowen this year, like Luke Nelson did in the D2 Division 2. It will be interesting to see Cy Bowen and Luke Nelson next year in the D1. But Sadrowski still closer. Gardner third, Callaway fourth, with half a track to do in this 2024-2025 season.
Half a lap to go in the season. Cy Bowen still has a left side mirror full of House of Color, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Jay Sadrowski not close enough to make a move, and the domination is complete. Your new record holder in single season race wins coming through turn number 2. It's going to be Cy Bowen, the National High Points champion, ends the season with a win in the Bill Muncy Cup. Jay Sadrowski is going to be second. Scott Garner is going to complete our podium in third in the U60 as he gives the fans on the shore a show. As he crosses the start-finish line now. Fourth is going to be Mikey Callaway in the Belltown Hydro. And of that, we'll wrap up the 2024-2025 season. There are your results on the screen. Cy Bowen, Nick, he would not be denied this season.
It will not be denied, like you said. He broke the the records to who has the most win in a season. What a domination by Cy Bowen this season. Like I said, with Luke Nelson in the Division 2. It will be so interesting to see both drivers next week in the D1 next year.
It's gonna be interesting to see D1, as you said, Luke Nelson and Cy Bowen together, two dominating drivers. It's gonna be tough on these D1 drivers because the D2 drivers are getting a lot faster as they come up, and it's going to be a fun race next season between Luke Nelson, between Cy Bowen. DJ Miller will also be up here. He's always fast. It's going to be a competitive Division 1 next year, and I cannot wait. So we will sit tight to get the results of the final in. And we will go over the final results in Season 7 of Division 1. So we will let the officials do their thing, and we'll be back with our final podium interviews and final thoughts. So the results are official. Let's hear from our podium here in the Bill Muncy Cup final, last race of the season. We'll start with Scott Garner, who finished third on the day. And Scott, it's a wonderful wrap up to the season, ending up in the podium, the last race of the year.
Hey, Daryl. Thanks, man. Yeah, I had to come back here, man. I was not doing good there, middle of the season. Started out good, and then I don't know what happened. But yeah, gave one for the end there, and did my best. Got at third, I guess, from trailer even.
Yep. So from the trailer, and that's another thing, from the trailer to third, that's got to feel good as well.
Yeah, that was kind of funny because me and Scott were sitting there, we were saying goodbye because we were spotting for each other this year, and give a shout out to Scott Przylski, the builder of the game. He did a real good job spotting for me. I spotted for him all year. We did a good job, and I think it finished top 7, top 8, so that should be good.
I can actually look now. You finished 7th.
Right on, man. It's my best finish so far, I think.
Yep. So congratulations on the best career points finish. Good luck in the All-Star race, and good luck next year.
Oh, yeah. I'll be coming back next year, man.
So that's Scott Garner, the driver of the U60 A&W Root Beer, finishing third tonight in the Bill Muncy Cup. We are waiting now for Jay Sadrowski and Cy Bowen to come up. Those are your second and first place finishers. Your final point standings while we wait. Cy Bowen, 12,844 points, your champion. Mickey Washburn finishes 3,666 points back. Harley Gray, third, 4,691 points back. Tim Johnson, 5,051 points back. And Scott Przybylski rounds out the top 5, 5,100 points back. Jay Zadrowski, 6th, 5,527 back. Scott Garner, DJ Miller, Mikey Callaway, and Callum Washburn round out your top 10. 11th through 15th, Scott Witherall, Tyler Sams, Neil Dismang, Pete Lacoste, and Mackay Burgess. 16th through 19, Nick Kish, Jeff DeWalt, Carson Kelly, and Elijah Smith. And dropping out of Division 2 will be Connor Harnack, Levi Colley, Eddie Canfouche, Bo Rarick, and Quentin Miller. So now joining us is the second step on the podium, Jay Sadrowski. Well, Jay, you got the lane you wanted, but just didn't have the speed there at the end, but you still come home with second.
Yeah, that was the best finish of the season. So good way to end it to go into the off season, and Cy's fast. Yeah, I got my lane, but he's got something else. It's hard to beat him, and doesn't matter what lane it seems he's in, he's still fast. Yeah,
you and Cy have both shown speed this season. How do you put in this season into words?
It helps having fast guys like Cy to run against all the time. Me, him, Mikey, Doc, he's fast. Mikey's fast. And then we got some other guys like John Ashby and Travis Johnson that run with us, and sometimes Cy's grandpa. So, running against speed really helps.
Well, Jay, congratulations on the second place, and good luck next season.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all you do. And when Cy comes up here, tell him I'm coming for him next year.
I will.
Thanks, Daryl. See ya.
See ya. So that's Jay Sadrowski, the U19 House of Color, finishes second on the year. So now we are waiting to hear from the absolute champion of this season. I think he's put about every record in the book in his name, or at least tied every record in the book. It's Cy Bowen, the winner of the Rockbot. And Cy, I think you've tied or beat about every record in the SNHL record book over the last couple of years. Put this run into words.
You kind of can. We go from breaking records last year in D2 and winning the championship there, and then coming and kind of doing the same as that thing as we did last year in D1. You're racing against the best of the best in the world right now, at least in the Unlimiteds, and to go out there and kind of beat second place and on back by over 3,600 points in a whole in a whole season is kind of unbelievable, and to win the amount of finals that we did and break as many records as we did, you kind of can't put it into words. It's been an incredible season, and definitely one for the record books.
All right, so you've got Luke Nelson coming up. He had his own domination streak in Division II this year. DJ Miller is also fast, and as Jay said here in the interview before you, he's coming for you next year. There's gonna be a lot of competition next year. How do you stay on top?
Well, I know that the rules are still up in the air on what we're gonna switch to, or if we're going to switch for next year. If it goes in the direction that I think it's gonna go, we should be in a pretty good spot, and hopefully we can do the same thing next year. Break even more records and beat the records that we set this year. So obviously we're gonna look forward to kind of hopefully doing the same thing next year or one-upping ourselves.
All right, Cy, congratulations. You are the National High Points champion, and we will see you next year.
Thank you.
So that will do it here from San Diego, California. The Season 7 of Saturday Night Hydroplane League Division 1 is over. Cy Bowen is your champion. I want to thank everyone that watched this season. I want to thank everyone that also competed for a wonderful year of racing, and I can't wait to do it again this fall. Well, the temperatures are getting warmer. The days are getting longer, and that means hydroplane racing is coming back soon. If you've got some time this weekend, during the weekends this spring and summer, make sure to find yourself at the shore of a boat race, whether it's HRL, H1 Unlimited, or any other APBA event going on this season. And hey, you might see one of us there as well. Make sure you stop by and say hello. Well, that'll do it for Season 7. For Nicholas Allard, I am Daryl Kinsey Jr., the voice of the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Thank you for joining us for the Bill Muncy Cup. We will see you